ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Hari Om, salutations to all. In the Kaivalya Upanishad, we saw the three states of awareness were described, and it was said that infinite consciousness identified with one equipment has become this jiva who goes through these three states of consciousness, and then because one is identified with the finite takes many bodies. 14th mantra said that. And actually it is, this jiva is none other than that consciousness from where, whose nature is adharam anandam akhanda bodham yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha. So this atma was indicated as that infinite consciousness, from where also the whole srishti comes out. 15th mantra said that. Etasmat jayate pranaha manas sarvendriyani cha kham vayur jyotirapah prithvi vishwasya dharini. So from this very self, when it is not conditioned with this equipment, then it is the source of the whole srishti. So if I identify with the body, mind, intellect, then I am born into the world. But if I identify with consciousness, then the whole srishti appears, stays, dissolves in me. That is called Brahman. The substratum of the whole universe is called Brahman. The enlivener of the individual equipment is called Atman. So when it is said here, etasmat jayate, from this is born. Now please remember, this is again one subtle difference between Vedanta and science. Science thinks of creation as real. Science postulates theory of creation in terms of the Big Bang, etc. Vedanta says creation is illusory and there is no actual production. There is only an appearance. Advaita Vedanta says there is only an appearance. Vivarta it is called. There is no actual production, modification, transformation, like how we produce the pot from the mud. There is no such production, arambhavad. There is no modification in the sense milk transforms to become curd. It is not that truth has transformed to become the world. Then what is it? Like the rope appears as the snake, and then one says, okay, this is the hood of the snake, and these are the fangs, and this is the tail, and this is the body, and all that. This whole Srishti is an appearance or a projection, also, one can say. Like the waker projects the entire dream world, having forgotten oneself, one becomes the dreamer, and the dreamer then projects the whole dream world. As long as one is in the dream identified with one dream character, one thinks that dream world is separate, I am separate, dreamer is separate. But if one identifies with the dreamer as the creator, sustainer, and destroyer, then one sees, oh, this whole thing is a projection. And if one identifies with the waker, then one thinks that there's nothing, there's no projection also. Waker is simply lying on the bed, there's no dream actually happening where the person has gone here, experienced this, that. It is one imagination that was happening. When one wakes up, one realizes, oh, nothing happened. Same way. So this Jayate word means that it does not sanction that actually creation is real. Etasmat Jayate. So it's not literal creation, but it's a projection or appearance, not production or transformation. So what appears? Prana, the vital energy, then Manaha, the mind, Sarvendriyani, the senses. So basically, the subtle body first is what is explained here, meaning the subtle five elements come out first, and from those subtle five elements, the permutations and combinations happen. So, what are the five elements? Space, air, fire, water, earth. Those in their subtle form are called tanmatras. By themselves, they are full, unmixed with any other element. And from each of their sattvic aspects, senses of knowledge are born. So, from the earth, let us go by the reverse order. Yeah, space, air, fire, water, earth. So, from space, the ability to hear is born. From the fire, this what you call it, capability to see. So space, air. Oh, air. Air, I forgot. From air, of course, the ability to smell. From fire, the ability to see. Then water is the tongue, so the taste. And earth is a touch. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Five senses of knowledge are born. Same way, five senses of action are born from the Rajasic aspect of the five elements. This combined sattvic aspect of five elements brings out mind, manaha. Combined, okay, then Rajasic aspect of each element. So space, capability to move, then air, the capability to grasp, fire, ability to speak, then water, reproduction, and earth, evacuation. Now, these five senses of knowledge, uh, five senses of action are born from sattvic aspect of five elements, tanmatras, rajasic aspect, sorry. So, five senses of knowledge born from sattvic aspect, individual elements. Five senses of action born from rajasic aspects, individual elements. Each element has three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So from sattvic aspect, senses of knowledge are born. Rajasic aspect, sense of action is born. Combined sattvic aspect of all five elements put together, mind is born. Combined rajasic aspect of all five elements put together, pranas are born. This is the entire world is subtle. Five senses of knowledge, five senses of action, five pranas. And when we say mind, it means mind, intellect, memory, ego, all subtle body, antakarana. So this first line indicates that subtle body. And then from that, the permutation and combination happens between the five elements. That is called panchikarana process. Each element will divide into half. One half remains as it is. The other half divides itself into four parts. So 1/8 each. And these four parts will go and mix with the other elements. Their 1/8 part will come into this element. So space will have half of space, 1/8 of air, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water, 1/8 of earth. Same way, air will have half of air, 1/8 of space, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water, 1/8 of earth. That way, all the five elements mix with each other. That process is called panchikarana, which is called grossification. Tanmatra means tat matra, that alone. This grossification happens through the panchikarana process. Now, all this is not scientifically provable and all that because this is a projection, number one. Number two, this is a particular way to understand a certain model to understand the difference between gross and subtle. And then the subtlest is the Atma. So, this grossification, when it happens, then from that, the gross body is born. And what grossification, which part grossifies? The subtle element has sattvic aspect, rajasic aspect, tamasic aspect. The rajasic and sattvic aspect remain as it is. From there only senses of knowledge and action are born, mind is born, prana is born. That remains as it is. Only the tamasic aspect of the five elements goes through this division and mixing. So the body, gross body, and all the forms that we see, the gross tangible forms that we see in the world, whatever it is, that frame, this book, this cupboard, this table, everything, all the gross forms are made from gross five elements. That is indicated by Kham, Vayu, Jyotirapah, Prithvi, Vishwasya Dharini. Prithvi is specifically called Vishwasya Dharini. All five elements are important, there is no doubt about it. Without the previous element, this element will not come out. The next one will not come out. Without space, air can't come out. Without air, fire will not be there. Without fire, water can't be there. Without water, there won't be earth. So each element is grosser than the previous element. Swamiji, how do we know this order where everything came out? Akhandanand Maharaj used to give a very nice example. He would say practically, for you to understand how this Srishti came about, how the five elements came about in this order. So he said, if you are sitting quietly, you are like space. Then you start moving. Then you are air. As you move, what happens? More heat, fire. So you start sweating with water. And if you do that way and you don't take bath and few days pass, you'll have enough earth. See, again, that's just a example to understand the subtlety. You and I can't see all that happening because we are effects in terms of the body. If I identify with, then we are the effect. Where will we see the cause coming out? From space comes air, comes fire, comes water, comes earth. But in the effect, if we examine, there's an indication possible. Now, somebody wants to find some flaw in it, okay, you go ahead and find it, not a problem. For us, it's only a model to understand that what the Shastra is saying is true. And going by that, we understand this whole Srishti in a certain way. And when we understand the Srishti in a certain way, then our focus shifts from the Srishti to the substratum of the Srishti, which is Brahman. That's the objective of the Upanishad. Upanishad is not a textbook of science, nor should we use science to validate if the Upanishad is right or not. Because science is more grosser, external. Upanishad is talking so many subtler things. In that gross part is a little bit. So, five elements space, air, fire, water, earth. And in that, earth is specifically called Vishwasya Dharini. Because that's the grossest. And of course, grossest means the subtler support is there. Without that, the grossest will not exist. But specifically earth because earth is connected to food, nourishment, all that. So all the beings, Vishwasya here does not mean only the whole creation, this world. But don't say that no, Mars is not supported by Earth and the billions and billions of galaxies are there. How are they supported by Earth? Arey Baba, see the context. We are talking about not a whole world there. We are talking about this Srishti, the beings are sustained by food. And the bodies are made up of that food that we eat. So, Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. And if you say Earth is mud, then so many planets, etc., their gross form is because of that mud. Now, the idea here is don't get lost in creation. Our focus has to be to know the creator, the substratum. So, etasmat jayate pranaha. From this appearance of the whole Srishti. Now, what is that Brahman? That is indicated in the 16th mantra. Now, here we saw the upper Arani and the lower Arani. The lower Arani was described in this earlier mantras, number 13, 14. This lower Arani is described. 12. So, yes, 12, 13, 14. They will describe this lower Arani. Then 15 has described the upper Arani. And the 16th mantra now indicates the oneness between the lower, which is now again lower when we say it is because we identify with this jiva. But essentially, this jiva is that Brahman. That is the knowledge that Upanishad speaks about. That's the Mahavakya. So the lower Arani and the upper Arani Om. So this 15th mantra is about that Om, that Omkar, which is Brahman. Om is the shortest indicator or pointer of Brahman. Om iti ekaksharam Brahma. So that Omkar is what we have to understand is etasmat. And that Omkar only is the Atman. So actually in this 15th mantra, indirectly already it has been said that you are that very source from where the whole Srishti has come. You are not this jiva born into the Srishti, you are that into which the whole Srishti is born. Already explained. But if that is not understood clearly, then explicitly that is mentioned now in the 16th mantra. So the oneness is being explained here. Yat param brahma sarvatma vishwasyayatanam mahat sukshmat sukshmataram nityam tattvameva tvameva tat. Yat param, that which is the supreme. There is nothing greater than that. So Yat Param indicates what the supreme goal of life is Brahman, which does not mean I seek it at the end of life. It means in and through whatever I am doing, am I discovering more and more purity of mind, subtlety of mind and intellect, so that I can come to discover I am Brahman. Call it Brahman, fulfillment, permanent happiness, moksha, God realization, self realization, awakening, or anything is all same. Yat Param, that which is the supreme. There is nothing greater than that. So that is the ultimate goal, ultimate truth. Yat Param. What is it called? Brahma. Brahatvat Brahma, that which is the biggest, which is the substratum of everything. And Brahma literally is that which we call as Desha, Kala, Vastu, Aparichinna. It is not limited by space, time, and objects. Not limited by space, meaning this body is limited by space, this thermos is limited by space. So there's a particular form. So it has boundaries. Brahman has no boundary. It is the substratum of space also. That's what was said, Etasmat Jayate. In that Kham comes first. Kham is the space. You know how interesting is that? The word space. In our Sanatan Dharma, we don't use word space only for external space, but even the internal space. When we say Sukham, meaning when my mind space is in a good condition, we say Sukham. And Dukkham, Du means bad, Su means good. So Dukkham, so bad space. Meaning there's agitation, disturbance, not feeling good, negativity, all that, then Dukkham. So this space of Brahman is the substratum of space also. Hence it is not limited by space, not limited by time. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, it is changeless in all three periods of time. In fact, even when time doesn't exist, Brahman is. So not limited by time. Time comes into play when mind comes into play. Mind comes into play after five elements. Because mind is made up of sattvic aspect of five elements. So Brahman, Maya, then five elements, then the mind, then the senses of knowledge, all that. That is a sequence of creation. So time comes into play much later. Only when mind comes into play. If there is no mind, there is no time. We don't experience time at all. So the idea here is Brahman is that which is beyond space, beyond time, beyond objects, meaning two objects will limit each other because they have different qualities. A pen and a book. Qualities of a pen are not in the book, qualities of the book are not in the pen. Both are different. Different utility value they have, different properties they have. Some commonness may be there, okay, made up of same five elements or made by the same company, whatever. But both limit each other. What is common in both of them is existence. Both exist. Because even the combination of five elements is different in each. But both exist and their existence will never become non-existence. So that Brahman is there in that. That which pervades everything, not limited by space, not limited by time, which is same in everything, that is Brahman. Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. in which there is no duality. There is no Maya, there is no Jiva, there is no Jagat, there is nothing. That is Yat Param Brahma, Supreme Brahman. And where is that Brahman now? Oh, somewhere beyond the clouds. No, no. Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. It is the substratum of the whole universe and it is the great substratum. Vishwasya Ayatanam. The whole Srishti is born, appears in Brahman, stays in Brahman, goes back to Brahman. Like all hundreds and thousands of waves are there in the ocean, they are born, they stay, they go back. Which means that the ocean and the waves, they are not different, they are same. Just that one part of the ocean is expressing as waves. It is same water only. Same way it is said, this whole creation, Padosya Mukhamasi, Padosya Vishwabhutani Tripadasyamritam Divi. Pada is the whole creation is only like one quarter, meaning one small aspect of Brahman is just appearing as the whole Srishti. Again, this one part, so don't think Brahman has parts. Oh, Brahman is divided into four parts. Oh, one quarter only is manifest. Acha, three quarters are not manifest. So when will those three quarter manifest, Swamiji? Arey, that is a way of explanation. Is not saying Brahman has part. Just now he says Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. No, it does not have any parts. It is to explain that this whole Srishti appears infinite to us. That is one small part. Now, what is Brahman? And that you are. That Vedanta is trying to tell us that. Simply we are identifying with one little thing and then feeling bound, feeling limited, feeling desires, cravings, attachments, anxiety, stress, worry, tension, Ram. How much it is going on? Where the fact is none of this is true. Easier said than experienced because of our identification, but Upanishad is trying to lift us to that. Yat param brahma sarvatma vishwasya ayatanam, meaning it is the substratum of the whole universe. Entire universe is in it. Substratum is never affected by whatever is superimposed. The rope will never be affected by that snake. One can't say that the poison of that snake has now made this rope green in color or black in color and this rope has become poisonous now. The movie that is projected on the screen, that screen will never be tainted by any color in the movie. A black and white movie or a color movie, how does it matter? Projection, the substratum, white screen remains white before the movie. It is white even during the movie and it will be white after the movie also. Nobody is going and cleaning, array, movie got over, now clean the screen. Why? Next show has to be ready. Substratum is not affected by the superimposition. Illuminer is not affected by the illumined. At the same time, the implication also is that Brahman is that which is in the hearts of all. So each of us are Brahman. It's not that I am Brahman, you are a deluded fellow. No, Brahman alone is, that is the truth. Vishwasya ayatanam mahat. So one acts more out of compassion, love, sense of oneness. That's the meaning. So Yat Param Brahma Sarvatma Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. It is great. Literal meaning of Mahat is it is great. Mahat also means the total mind. Brahman only appears as the total mind and the whole Srishti manifests. So, having said that, it is said Sukshmat Sukshmataram. It is subtler than the subtlest. Acha, subtler than the subtlest. What is the meaning of subtlety in Vedanta? So, if we give example, ice is the grossest. Subtler than ice is water. Subtler than water is vapor. Which means what? That which is less pervasive is grosser, that which is more pervasive is subtler. Ice is limited, this much only. But when that ice becomes water, it will start flowing. And if you heat that water, it becomes vapor. Now that vapor may not be visible, but if it cools down, again it will come back to water. And that vapor will have so much more strength. All that steam engine and this and that, whatever, that vapor has so much of strength. So it is more pervasive compared to water. So one aspect of subtlety is which is less pervasive is gross, more pervasive is subtle, most pervasive is subtlest. What is most pervasive is space. Everything is inside space. That's why this order is that Kham, Vayu, Jyotir, Apa, Prithvi. Prithvi is the grossest, space is the subtlest. This is subtler than the subtlest. These five elements also, they are experienced by us, the whole Srishti is experienced by us because of the mind. When the mind is dormant in deep sleep, we don't experience any Srishti, including the mind we don't experience. Atma is that which exists even beyond mind. So five elements, then the mind, then the consciousness, like that. Same now what was said earlier, shloka. You go reverse order, that's all. So Prithvi, Apaha, Jyotihi, Vayuhu, Kham, Indriyani, Manaha, Atma. You just go reverse order. Of course, Prana is given here, but Prana is grosser than Manaha, except that change. Rest is the same. Mind is illumined by consciousness, and once that mind is illumined by consciousness, then the space, air, fire, water, earth, we are able to experience. Brahman is that consciousness. Sukshmat Sukshmataram. Most pervasive, na, then. Most pervasive in this creation is space. That which is illuminer of mind and space, that is Brahman. Sukshmat Sukshmataram. And please don't think there's some Brahman out there who is illumining. That Brahman is here, illumining our mind. Then only the five elements are experienced by us. Upanishad is talking about us. Sukshmat Sukshmataram. Nityam. Now, one meaning of Nitya is that which is there at all times. Before I go to Nitya, subtlety, one way to measure subtlety is the pervasiveness. What is less pervasive is gross, more pervasive is subtle. Other way of understanding subtlety is that which has least properties is the subtlest. That which has maximum properties is the grossest. So for example, earth. So I can see, hear, taste, smell, touch earth. But if we come to water, now I can see water, I can hear water, see, hear, taste water, and see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. I can touch water. Yeah. So smell is not there in the water. Now somebody will say, oh no, no, water is tasteless. Water has taste. You check out. Do scientific research, you will know. Different places the water has taste. And the capability of taste also comes from water only. If that water is not there, we won't be able to taste. Anyway, so space, earth and then water. Then fire. So water does not have that smell capability. Water has four properties, earth has five properties. Fire. So I can see, I can hear, I can touch, smell, and taste. Not there. That way you go back. In space, there is no seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. Nothing possible. So the point is, space is the subtlest. Air, subtler than that, grosser than that. Because space can't be felt. Air I can feel. So that way, if we see, the grossest is that which has the maximum properties. Space is subtlest. Now, Sukshmat Sukshmataram means that which is the illuminer of that space is Brahman. Sukshmat Sukshmataram. Meaning Brahman has no properties. Space itself doesn't, you can't, space is not perceptible by the senses. But space is a product of the mind. It's a projection. Brahman is not a product of the mind. Brahman is the illuminer of the mind. And also space changes, modifies. That which is the element will modify. Brahman doesn't modify. Like that, there are difference. Space is inert, Brahman is sentient. So Brahman is not space. Though the subtlest element is space, and the way to develop subtlety of buddhi is to think of space, contemplate on space. That's an exercise. Before one takes up contemplation on Brahman, one can contemplate on space. What is space? Then the buddhi will become sukshma, contemplating on space. Then it is able to grasp sukshmataram Brahman, which is subtler than space. So, Prithvi, Sukshmat, Sukshmataram, then Nityam. Nityam is eternal. Now, one way of understanding eternal is that which is at all periods of time, changeless, past, present, future, same. Which we understand because we see everything changing around us. This is changeless, Nityam. But the other way to understand is this. Nityam is not about past, present, future. It is about that truth in which time exists. Without that truth, time cannot be experienced. Again, we come back to that. The mind, if it is functioning, then the space and time can be experienced. If mind is not there, space and time can't be experienced. That is the enlivener of mind. In whom the space and time are mere projections, that truth is Brahman. That's what it means. Simpler meaning of Nityam is that which exists always. But what is always? You and I only are not always. How will you and I understand always? Some basic understanding we may say, what was yesterday, what is today, what will remain tomorrow, that is Nityam. That is one understanding, which is literal meaning, simple. But our lifespan is only so short. Where yesterday, today, tomorrow. In a very simplistic way, one can say that. But otherwise, the better way to understand, the deeper way to understand is that in which time itself plays out. That is Brahman. So, Sukshmat Sukshmataram, Nityam. Now comes the revealing part. Mantra says, Tat, that Brahman, Tvameva, you are that. You in the sense, not the jiva, not the body, as Atma, consciousness. So this Atma, which is enlivening this mind, He is that very Brahman, substratum of the whole universe, Sukshmar Sukshmataram, Etasmat Jayate Pranaha. It is that which is Mahat, it is that which is Param, Vishwasya Ayatanam. You are that, Tattvameva. Now that is enough, no, to say you are that. Upanishad says, no, Tvameva Tat. Second time, reversing the order. Tat Tvameva, Tvam Eva Tat. Why two times? To say there is only absolute oneness between Brahman and Atman, there is no division possible. There is no difference. There are other types of oneness. Meaning what? So now this body, this whole body, there is a feeling that I pervade the whole body. This is my body. I am this. But in this, there difference or not? Hands are different, legs are different, eyes are different, brain is different, heart is different. So there is a duality, there is a difference. In that way, it is not that Atman and Brahman, there is a oneness, but there is also difference in them. No, there is absolute oneness, meaning there is no space for any difference at all, which is what Kaivalya also literally means. Kaivalya means absolute oneness, and that's why the mantra is Mahavakya here is Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. Meaning you can't admit even little bit of a difference. You can't say I am a part of Brahman. Impossible. There is no part in Brahman. Atma is a part of Paramatma. And this Atma will merge into Paramatma. None of that can be said as far as Advaita Vedanta is concerned. Atma will ever remain servant of the Paramatma. Impossible. There is no division possible. There is one truth, infinite, Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna, full stop. That's what that Tattvameva Tvameva Tat means. Because otherwise, this part and whole, Amsha and Amshi, this body example is for that, Amsha and Amshi. There is a oneness. Amsha, each finger is a Amsha of this hand. This hand is a Amsha of this palm, this part of the hand is Amsha, and this is the Amshi. And this is Amshi compared to this. But this becomes Amsha compared to this. Now, each of them are different from the other, yet they are a part of one hand. So there is a difference and there is oneness coexisting. Like that one says, I am a part of the of total. That is Vishishta Advaita. Then Dvaita will say, no, you are not a part. Your nature is completely opposite to God. So you will never be one with God, one with consciousness. Why? Consciousness is Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman, Sarvavyapi, means all pervasive, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, all that. And you are what? Alpagnya, Alpashaktiman, Alpavyapi, limited power, limited knowledge, limited pervasiveness. How can you be God? So who are you? You are a servant of God. So all of us are servants. So we are all one in that sense. That Brahman or God is supreme. We all are servants. In that servanthood, we are one. And we will eternally be serving Bhagavan. So there are different types of oneness. But here, when it is said Tattvameva Tvameva Tat, it means there is no difference of any sort. There is only oneness, absolute oneness. That's why Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. First of all, Tattvam, you are that. Eva means you are that alone. Already that eva indicates that there is only one truth. That you are that truth alone. You are not this body, mind, intellect, perishable things. You are not any of the three states. You are not the three bodies. You are not the five elements, not the senses, not the mind. None of this you are. Tat, that. What is that? Yat param brahma sarvatma. Tat. Yat and tat in Sanskrit they go together. Yat param brahma tattvameva. That which is Brahman, that you are. That's the Mahavakya here. Otherwise, people misunderstand. Tattvameva. Now the teacher lifted the hand and there was a crow up there, and the disciple understood, oh, I am crow. That is Mudamati. How can I be that crow? But that essential nature of that crow is Brahman. I am Brahman. That is true. Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahatva said. Brahman wise, there is only one Brahman. Where there is no crow there is no jiva there is no body here, there is no Mr. So and so. That Brahman alone is, that is true. But if I think I am that crow, no, that is wrong. So Tattvam Eva, that Brahman alone you are. And who is that Brahman? What we saw, Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. Where there is a part in that possible, it is changeless. If you say Brahman is a part, this Atma is a part of this Brahman, this Atma has emerged out of Brahman, now this Atma will merge back into Brahman, what is all that? There is no merging, emerging happening. Many people say after death, this person has merged into God. He was already, in essence, he is God only, consciousness only. There is no merging happening. What happens then in realization? The false notion that I am this body, mind, intellect, that is destroyed. That's all. So the fire which was said earlier, is Arnimanthan process. It was said Pasham Dahati Panditaha. The bondage of the wise person is burnt by the fire produced by Arnimanthan. What is that fire? That fire is not this one, of only saying that Yat Param Brahma Sarvatma Sarvishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. Oh, there is one Brahman, that is supreme, that is the substratum of the whole world. Acha, acha, okay, okay. And who are you? I am Sachidananda Swarup Atma. Upanishad said that Sachidananda Swarup Atma you are not the Jiva. Okay, okay, that I understood. And from where the world came? The world came from Brahman. And this body, this Atma also came from that Brahman. And this body mind it also came from Brahman. So this Atma is a part of that Brahman. This Brahman only identifying with one BMI has become as though this Atma. It is not that it has emerged from there. The fire which is produced by this Arani Manthan is the fire of oneness, where one understands, oh, this Atma is that Brahman. Because Atma conditioned by the enlivener of this BMI appears to be limited. But it is not limited. It is one. Like the reflection of the sun appears to be limited reflection. This reflection of the sun is not, different from the sun. Now if somebody thinks, oh, sun is so big there, and this reflection is so small here, and that is because of the conditioning of the pot and that water. That Brahman is infinite, and that alone is the truth. Reflection is nothing but that. There are no two suns. This is not one part of that sun. This is not completely different from the sun. It is only reflecting medium, so it appears conditioned. If you remove that, there is only sun. That is the truth. So Tattvameva Tvameva Tat means that fire of oneness burns this illusory division between Atman and Brahman, that Brahman is somewhere there, Atman is here. No, no, no. That Brahman is this Atman, or this Atman is that Brahman. They are essentially one, and so it is said by emphasizing Tattvameva, Tvameva Tat. Otherwise, what will happen? I will know myself as a Jiva. After studying all Vedant, who are you? I am a Jiva. But I know that there is one Brahman whose nature is Satchidananda. I am that Brahman. That is oneness. I am not the Jiva. So Mahavakya is a Vakya which essentially will tell us about oneness of Jiva and Brahman. That's why it is Mahavakya. Ordinary Vakya, it will have literal meaning. It will be about something which is gross, tangible, finite. Mahavakya is that which will reveal essential oneness, that my nature is that infinite consciousness. I am not this Jiva at all. So if Mahavakya has been studied, then our reflection has to happen on that more and more. And that conviction must come that yes, I am Brahman, I am not this Jiva at all. And what is the practical implication of that? Most important one is the avidya burns. One comes to wake up saying, Arey, this whole thing was projection. Brahman alone is. That's the deepest one. Otherwise, at a simpler level, if we have to live, when it is said, Vishwasayatanam and Sarvatma, they will help me to develop the heart. That Atma in me is Atma everywhere. Sarvatma means that. Madatma Sarvabhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. That Guru Stotram also says that. Mannatha Shri Jagannatha Madguru Shri Jagadguruhu Madatma Sarvabhutatma. Even earlier it came in the Upanishad or not. Sarvabhutastham Atmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani. So the vision of the realized person is absolute oneness. Hence there is operation out of love, compassion, kindness, service, spontaneously, without wanting anything, without demanding anything. There is no question of what did I get out of it. No, I serve because it's my swarupa, my swabhava to serve. I will serve. Why? Because all of us are one. Gurudev always gave that example. The hand doesn't ask, what will I get by scratching the leg? What will you give me? The whole body is me, the leg is feeling the itch and I have to go and scratch. I will scratch. The relief comes to the hand also as much as it comes to the leg. Because there is oneness. One is not asking. So, Sarvatma and Vishwasyayatanam. If one focuses on that, one will develop the heart. Yat Param Brahma, Mahat, Sukshmat, Sukshmataram, Nityam, all that if I contemplate upon, I will develop the head. It was said earlier, Dhyana, Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana, Yoga, Davaihi. So, Shraddha, intellectual quality, Bhakti, emotional quality, and Dhyana is combination of both these will give rise to intuition. So, if I focus on this Yat Param, Brahma, and this Mahat, Sukshma, Sukshmataram, Nityam, these are all pointers. If I contemplate on them, Buddhi will become Sukshma. Vishwasyayatanam Sarvatma, if I focus on serving people, heart will be purified. A purified heart, subtle head, meaning subtle intellect, pure mind, if they come together, intuition arises, one will realize, oh, Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. I am that Brahman. I am not this. So this is the Mahavakya. Now, having explained this, Gurudev, when he used to take this up, he used to say one very unique thing about this Mahavakya. Listen to that from him only. It's a very beautiful clip. One.
Tat Tvameva, Tvameva Tad. Tad that. Ah, Swami, what is that? Tvameva, you yourself. Tat Tvameva. And to emphasize it, Tvameva Tad. You and that is no distinction, which both are one. When the river has reached the Bay of Bengal, Ganges merges with the oceans of the world, and the oceans of the world and the Ganges become one. Ganges itself is the oceans of the world, the oceans of the world itself is Ganges, their mixture is complete. Similarly, until once you wake up, you realize that the higher state of consciousness is my own true nature. Just as on waking up from the dream, you understand that I'm no more a dreamer, but I'm the waker. The dream and the dreamer were only projections of my mind, a disturbance in my mind. You wake up to this new dimension of consciousness. Tat Tvameva, Tvameva Tada. Tat Tvameva, Tvameva Tada is that which our instrument, musical instrument, tabla, is made to sing to you. That dead skin of an animal is made to tell you that you are that you are. You alone is that alone is you. Tad, 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 tad. Tvameva, tvameva, tad, tvameva, tad, tad, tvameva, tad, tvameva, tad, 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 tom, 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 tad, tom, tad, tom, tad, tom, tom, tvameva, tvameva. The permutation, combination of that. Next time when you hear the tabla, you listen to it. That dead skin is telling you. But until I died, I never knew it. But now I am died, I know. Though I was an animal, dum 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 dum. Tat tvameva tvameva tad.
Such a unique way to. Next time you listen to tabla, what it will tell you? This only. Tattvameva, tvameva, tat. So there's the Mahavakya of this Upanishad. Every Upanishad has one Mahavakya minimum. It has some of them have more also. So how many Mahavakyas are there if somebody says? Totally there are lots of Mahavakya. You can't count only. Lots of them are there. But in general we say four Mahavakyas, one from each Veda. So I am Atma Brahma or Prajnanam Brahma, let us say. Prajnanam Brahma from Aitareya Upanishad, Rig Veda. Then you say this Tattvamasi, Chandogya Upanishad, Samaveda. Then Ayam Atma Brahma, that is from Mandukya Upanishad, Atharva Veda. And Aham Brahmasmi, Brihadaranyaka, Yajurveda. There are four major Mahavakyas. Otherwise, Mahavakyas are how many? Lots of them. This has, no, Upanishad has, Kaivalya Upanishad, Tattvameva, Tvameva Tat. So for today, we will stop here. Any questions? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।